Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. I am here today with Amy Gould, and Amy pivoted from her career in HR to launch a successful business during COVID. And she started out as a virtual assistant, realized she loved helping creative entrepreneurs create and automate an incredible client experience. And now she also specializes and is a certified Dubsado specialist, Honeybook educator. She loves helping you with your technology in your business, keeping it approachable, making it easy to implement. And she's not just a CRM nerd, but she also knows a lot about Zapier, ClickUp, ConvertKit, ManyChat, to name a few. And she lives in Michigan, Midwest person just like me, and also loves her life with her fiance, 5 cats, which we'll have to talk about, 2 dogs, and a bustling home life. So welcome to the show, Amy. I love cats too. And why don't you just share a little bit about why are you so passionate about automation and making tech easy for people?
Hey, Hailey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat about all of that today. I have been interested in tech for a long time. I've always loved finding ways to make my life and my job easier. If I can find a way to automate it so I don't have to do it and still make an incredible experience for someone, then I'm all about it. But then again, there are times and places where automation just isn't a good fit. So I just love that you can set something up in automation one time and it runs repeatedly every single time that thing happens. So it's just takes something off of your to-do list that you don't have to think about anymore. And I'm all about that and simplifying things and just making business a little bit easier so that we don't have to work so many hours.
Yes, love that. And what are some maybe repetitive tasks that you see coaches or service providers doing on a regular basis that maybe they don't even realize they can automate, or they don't know where to start with automating? Tell us a little more about what are some of those tasks that you see.
Yeah, I see a lot of times with coaches. My ex-husband actually was coach, and so we talked a lot about systems in his business. But I see a lot of times people not automating things like sending a scheduler so someone can book an appointment, or using a lead capture form on their website that actually has an automatic responder attached to it. And I want to talk more about that later, but those are the first couple things that always come to my mind when I think about people missing the opportunity with automation. And something as simple as setting your availability in a scheduler and connecting your Google Calendar to it so it can see when you're available and when you're not. And then you can also set and control when you're available for appointments. I think that is huge and such a time saver because you don't have to play what I like to call scheduling ping pong back and forth with the whole, when are you available? I'm available these days. Well, those days don't work for me. How about these days and times? And you go back and forth 5 or 6 times to book an appointment and over several days. And it's just not very efficient and not a great use of your time. So
yeah, that's a great point. And one of the sections I go through in my inner circle with coaches who are building up their business is setting up that calendar form and making sure that your client onboarding experience is also set up, because the other thing I'm sure you see is people repetitively like recreating the client onboarding process every single time they do it, instead of having like, okay, here's what happens. The client buys, they get this, we get the agreement sent to them this way, et cetera, et cetera. So tell us a little bit about the client experience, and why should we be thinking about how we can automate that? What are some ways we can be doing that?
Sure. I actually heard somebody talk about this the other day, and I loved the analogy of going to a spa and how you always feel like the spa experience is customized to you. You know, you come in and they hand you the robe and the water and the glass of wine, maybe, or coffee or something like that. And the thing is, all of those things are probably on a list somewhere that they do for every single person. It happens the same for every person when they come in. The next time you go to the spa, it's probably going to be the same thing. And if those things don't happen, then you're disappointed and you're like, this isn't as good as it usually is. And so the same things can be said for client experience. And sometimes people feel like when they automate, they're losing that customized experience. But the truth is they're creating more of a really good, solid experience, and it's consistent from client to client. And what I usually start with is the lead, like how someone opts in, and then look next to how can we improve your booking process so you can have clients book right away when they say, yes, I'm really interested in working with you. You can get that proposal out to them. They can choose the options they want, sign the contract, and pay the invoice. And it's not like a couple hours later when you've built this custom proposal for them with custom offers based on what you guys talked about. It's, you just had to pick and choose maybe a couple of offers and put them in there, type a little extra note in there about something specific you talked about on the call. And so there's still that personalized touch to it. It's still relevant to what you talked about, but you can put that together in 15 minutes after the call and send it out, maybe even less. People are also missing the boat with contracts. I see people not only just creating customized proposals for every single client and spending hours doing that, but copying and pasting text into contracts over and over and over again. So a lot of your CRMs can automatically put that information into contracts for you, and that speeds up your booking process as well. But then when you get to the onboarding and they've already said, sign the contract and paid the invoice, having that process for them to onboard with you is really, really helpful, because not only do you get everything you need, but your client sees that you know what you're doing. There's not a lot of back and forth emails asking for different things or multiple emails to get them onboarded. They get like maybe one packet to onboard, and they get all the information they need to work with you. You've asked for everything you need, and maybe even included a scheduler to book that first appointment. And so they really feel taken care of. They see that you know what you're doing and you're professional, and they didn't just sign a contract and pay an invoice and then not hear anything, which I actually had happen to me with a coach one time. I really kind of panicked because I paid several $1,000s and then crickets. And I was like, I waited for a little while, maybe a few hours. And then I was like, hey, I haven't seen anything back from you.
Oh, man.
Did the payment go through? Is everything good? What's my next step? What's going to happen next? And I'm like, oh, did I just, make a huge mistake? And that's not really what you want for your clients when they book with you.
Right. Well, and if it's not automated or it's not a system, it's very easy to forget little parts or, miss something or, that kind of thing. So I think that's a good point. And the other thing
it's really stressful too to like remember all of those things in your head. You have all
Oh,
these
yeah.
other things in your head too, and you're trying to remember, okay, I got to remember to send them this and do this. And
Right.
all
Yeah.
of that's really stressful to keep up with.
Right. And speaking of remembering things, you mentioned that having a lead capture form, which basically means you take someone's name and email or something like that on your website, and having an autoresponder is something that can help you not have to just remember manually to go follow up every single time. So tell us
Mm-hmm.
about that. What do you mean by an autoresponder? What should it say? That kind of thing.
Absolutely. I'm really glad you asked that question. First of all, the nice thing about a lead capture form is you can have it put the information into your client relationship management tool, which can be something like a Honeybook or 17 Hats or Dubsado or anything like that. And so the information is in there and the client put it there. So theoretically, it's the right information and it's entered correctly. But then also you can connect automation to that where it'll send them an email back that says, hey, we got your inquiry. Thank you so much. We'll be back in touch, and let them know, first of all, when you're going to be back in touch so that they know, like, hey, if you sent this after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be back in touch tomorrow or in the next business day. And then I always like to include some kind of resource that's going to help them make a more informed decision or be more excited about working with you. So that could be a freebie that you've already put together for your coaching business, or things you should know before hiring a coach article that you've written, which obviously is going to make you even more of like why they should hire you as a coach. Anything like that that's going to keep them engaged with you, build more interest, build that know, like, and trust factor. All of those things are really, that's what I look for when I add something like that to an email, so that somebody can continue to build that relationship with you even though you haven't sent that email. It's not customized in any way, but they know, first of all, that you got the email, because I don't know how many of those forms I've filled out online and heard nothing back for days and wondered if if the person even got my contact information. So
Yeah, definitely. So I think this theme here is you want to keep the communication really clear and let people know what's going on. And automation allows you to do that on the spot without needing to be like, oh my gosh, someone put something in my website. I got to go run to my computer and tell them I got it. It gives you that leeway or that space to be like, okay, they know I got it and I'll get back to them, and gives you that peace of mind. And one of the things that I would love to know, just from your standpoint as an entrepreneur, is what is something that maybe for you has been challenging on your business journey, and how have you worked through it? Obviously, this does not necessarily have to be about automation, but just curious because a lot of the listeners here are like starting out or overwhelmed or wanting more consistency in their business. Or maybe they've had some success, but now they're starting to do more automation and they're afraid of, oh, I'm going to lose the personal touch or anything like that. So anything you'd share on your journey that maybe others could relate to or take some gold out of?
sure. Actually, when I first started using Dubsado, my emails were very plain and very to the point and not full of a lot of personality. They got the job done, but they weren't great. And as I went through and started using automation, what I realized is that people really like to know who you are. So adding in those little bits of personality, adding in maybe a picture or a GIF, I think that's how you say it. Those fun little automations, if that's your thing, put those in there. Add the emojis in there. That sort of thing was not something I was doing initially. And the other thing was I was afraid of the automation at first, and I didn't automate a lot right away just because I was afraid it would break and not be a good client experience. And a couple things that I've realized that are helpful is that you can put in steps that will allow you to customize what follows. So you can put in those personal messages in the emails for the clients. You can leave yourself little breadcrumbs or reminders to do things and have the system send you those reminders. So you don't have to remember what comes next. It's the system's going to tell you what to do next. And then you can mark that to do off, and you can set the automation. So then it will send the next email out. So that's a way you can slow down the automation and have a little more control over it. Like things like Dubsado, I know, has approve buttons on workflow steps too. So you can stick an approve button on every single workflow step if you want to when you're getting started with it, the automation steps and things. So if you want to, you can push a button for every single step until you're comfortable with it. And then the other thing was that I learned the hard way was testing the systems.
Yeah.
Really, if you test it, you'll understand how it works. You'll see how it looks from the client perspective. You'll see how everything flows. You can tweak and adjust it and go, oh, you know what? That doesn't really make sense that sends right away. Or maybe it should send a day later, or have a little different language in it, or things like that. So you can tweak it and make it better. And that's something that is really important, because if you don't test it, then you're just putting clients into it and they're getting a flawed system, and that's not great for your client experience either. And I definitely have learned that the hard way a few times.
Yeah.
Things weren't tested as well.
One thing that I just learned, well, I wouldn't say I just learned, but I realized when I had some like bots signing up for my email list, is you have to, going back to that lead capture form on your website, for example, you'll want to have CAPTCHA, or is that how you say it? Is that how you say it? You want to turn that on your email form so that people have to confirm like they're not a robot, or that, you know, they have to fill in some text or something just to prove they're a human, so that you don't get a flood of bots. Both myself and one of my clients had that one time, and had to fix that.
Yeah, those are so annoying.
Yes. And it messes up your, email list, because the numbers aren't going to be right, because there's like weird bots on there. So you got to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a way to think about, like, what's one, maybe, I guess, takeaway that somebody listening here should know about tech or automation or getting started? Like, what's one action they can take after today?
I think just understanding that you don't have to automate the entire thing to start to see the benefits of automation in your business. And you can take it one step at a time. And if that's just setting up a scheduler and giving yourself that time back by just sending a scheduler link. And sometimes it's hard because some people are really stubborn about not wanting to use those, and well, just tell me when you're available. And you're like, it's really a lot easier if you just click the link and book the appointment when you're available, versus me going back and forth with you. It's going to take more time and not get done as fast. But if you just take that one step and try that and see how it feels, and then go from there. And maybe then you add another thing that's automated after that. But you don't have to do the whole thing at once. You can start small.
That's so important. And that's important in anything. It's important to remember it's not a black or white, I have to go all in or not. There is a gray area of like, okay, how can I just get started with some automation? How can I just get started with marketing or whatever? I think a lot of times people think, oh my gosh, I have to dive in both feet. It's the kind of person I am. If I'm going to do something, I have to, go all in. And the truth is, it's that usually actually ends up either you never start, or you burn out, or you just throw your hands up and, because you can't do it all, you just give up or take a 3-week hiatus and then go back all in. And then it's like this cycle that's inconsistent. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really important point to share. So Amy,
you can also tweak it as you go too. I mean, your lead capture doesn't have to be perfect. Your message that you send back doesn't have to be perfect. You can go and tweak it and change it as you evolve and get feedback on it, or see the forms come through and go, I'd really like to know this piece of information when they're applying to work with me. Well, then you can add that, and the next person that gets it, you're going to get better information from them.
Right. Yes, I love that. And permission to be, messy or, not have it perfect the first time around. So where can everybody connect with you, find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, they can find me over on Instagram. I'm at Amy S as in Sam Gould, Gould_. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I think we have it in the notes there, but I don't remember the profile name there. It's probably Amy S. Gould, but
yeah. All right. So that's where you can find her. We'll put that in the show notes when this becomes a Health Coach Nation podcast episode. And thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit more about automations.
Thanks, Hailey. I'm really glad to get a chance to talk with you about it.
So much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.